This question is to Mr. Kapse. We see NFPA code, we see a lot of fire alarm systems, and still we see so many mishaps happening in India. Mostly in healthcare sector, I saw in the last 3 years at least 4 or 5. And I think, is it a complete apathy towards regulation or what it is? And this question is nothing to do with requirement or OEM. It is a social responsibility. That's why I'm asking you this question.
Thank you so much. Can I get your name, please?
My name is Sadanand Teje.
Mr. Sadanand, thank you so much for that question. And I'm very happy that first question you asked me is on life safety, which is my very favorite subject. Basically, I have been doing fire and life safety. I am NFPA certified hazard recognition specialist as well. And I've been doing assessment of a lot of buildings with respect to life safety. The fundamental problem that I see is it starts with the basic design as well. Okay, someone who is doing a fire protection design or someone who is doing an architectural design, because in India, principal consultant is an architect. Okay, architects should be in the forefront of fulfilling the requirement of fundamental right of life safety of people who come into any building. It can be an hospital as well, or it can be any business building as well. So what I have noticed in last 15 years of my career is that the fundamental knowledge in terms of passive part of a fire protection in a building. Okay, when I say passive life safety, I come to emergency lighting, exit signages, width of passages, width of exit doors. Every component of a life safety means of egress has a capacity factor. And based on the capacity factor, your occupancy and your route is designed. Coming to a hospital specifically. So that knowledge on whether this building can accommodate 500 people or 600 people, I'm sure not many architects from the country can answer that. Okay, that's my experience. I'm telling my personal experience. Okay, how do you define a clear exit width? Not many people know that. What is the capacity factor in FPA? It is 7.6 mm per person for an exit door compared to 6.5 mm per person in NBC. So based on the capacity factors, you need to ensure your means of egress, the component of exit access, exit and exit discharge, the 3 components has to be clearly defined and prath. Okay. And you should know how many people are there in the building. The builder constructs a building based on the least occupancy table as per NBC table 1, which says 10 square meter per person. But eventually, the occupancy in that building goes up from 10 to almost 55 square feet per person. We have seen business offices at 55 square feet per person. So this difference, whether the building is capable to catch, in terms of everything, in terms of HVAC, in terms of cooling, in terms of fresh air, in terms of, similarly, it also attributes to life safety. Okay, so this difference of design from the building which has been made before a tenant comes in, and after the tenant comes in and what he has an expectations is different. Okay, he says, I have taken a 50,000 square feet building, I need 500 or 700 people to sit in it. Architect places tables wherever there is space. Okay, that's how it happens, that's how it's happening. Let me be very candid about it. Okay, coming to hospitals, if you look at NFPA 101, which is 101 or International Building Code, which is a guide to better practices. If you look beyond the Indian codes, of course, National Building Code 2016 you can refer to, but if you look beyond that, normally I do jobs internationally as well. So I normally refer to International Building Code whenever I don't find a solution or I find something not very clear in the local codes. If you look at there, the hospital sector is given extremely prime importance. Okay, you need to have, even NBC 2016 has extracted some of the points from NFPA 101, which says that you need to have a corridor, and the corridor has to be 2-hour fire rated with 2 swing doors, so that if there is fire in one of the compartment, people can be shifted to the other compartment. It's called horizontal exits. I have seen not many hospitals follow this. Okay, they have not. The architecture in terms of life safety should follow that. So if the height of the building has a restriction for healthcare, for specific international building codes, which is not there in the National Building Code. National Building Code, there are not too many points related to life safety for healthcare compared to any other code that we follow in the world. So to answer your question, right from architecture your compartmentation and passive fire protection. What I always tell people in such forums is that your active fire protection, such as sprinklers and hydrants and detectors, should always be supplementary. Ensure you make a building in such a way that your passive are so strong that they do compartmentation of smoke. They have, your staircases are smoke free. You make your areas tenable till the time your evacuation time of the entire occupant evacuation time is defined. So make a very strong passive architecture which will protect you from these devices. That's what my answer is. I hope I have answered you.
Thank you very much. I think it really appreciate your guidance here.
So that's a good start, sir. Thanks for it. Before we move ahead, okay, we just want to set up the preface first and try to understand in brief what are individual thoughts, so that that will also help us for the larger audience to understand about it. Okay. However, we started with it, but then we would start with just sir, about your thought. Okay, in generic. Okay, if we want to talk about the whole systems we put up together. So just set up the preface so that people understand your thought, and then questions also going to be lined up in that directions.
No, I'll do it from here. Yeah. I'm from a consulting background, been doing the consulting for quite some time. So basically what we are seeing for a BMS industry is that the BMS system is more focused at this point or right now on HVAC and a little bit on the lighting control, which is fine because what we are controlling is basically the energy, the water and the air quality that we are doing. But going ahead, we also have multiple systems that is there. We know that it's either access, there's CCTV, things like this. And the BMS for the client is now becoming like, he would like to have a single point of reference or single point of contact for all these systems together. So it's high time that the BMS either takes all those into its fold and comes up, or somebody else will take it up. The reason I'm saying is, right now it's going into something like digital twin is the new buzz that's coming in. And if you look at those, the key players in the market are not BMS companies. They are software companies. It's Bentley, it's Autodesk, and it's Azure, Amazon, and it's Microsoft. So the thing is that either BMS has to step in, or we will have a bigger player who is in the market who will take BMS under their wing. So that's, I mean, from a design point where we are looking at the future, how it's going to go. The client is asking us more things. Client is getting more and more educated. The younger generation, especially in the market, that's the real estate market, the younger generation is coming into the front. They want more things. They are more aware of things. They have gone outside. They are educated. So the thing is, the industry has to go up now to take this change into its step. That's my take on it.
Great. So, Pulji, you can say something about yourself so that, that will set an pace for everybody for you to understand, and then have those questions answered by you.
Good afternoon. Hello. Yeah. I belong to the hardware and product design fraternity. I think with this August gathering here.
Voice.
Sorry.
Hello.
Yeah.
So, I will repeat. So, I belong to the hardware and product design fraternity. With this August company of panelists and people in the front, I think today is a time where we would get a lot of opportunities to exchange ideas, share concerns, listen to suggestions, and probably look at areas of collective growth for all of us. Having said that, there are two issues that I normally talk about in different forums, and I want to repeat those two issues here. One is certification and accreditation agencies, or the lack of it. Today, Today we do have some agencies, but they are far too less. We are looking at agencies, and I think with this Make in India coming into play, this is mandatory that a lot of investment comes from the government or the private sector in setting up such agencies where the test can be conducted under one roof with faster response and at a reasonable price. So price, even though is secondary, but then still there's need of such agencies. So I think INBAC probably can take up the responsibility of addressing this to policy making bodies like DOE or CII or MCCI, etc. And maybe they can help in promoting that. And second issue got discussed in the morning also, but I'm sure that issue is a problem with all the design houses or all the manufacturing company is lack of skilled manpower. There are two parts in that. One is the freshers that we employ. It's a very sad thing to know today that 90% of the fresh engineers who come to me today cannot design a simple linear power supply. Forget anything else. Their focus is purely software, app, and that's such a wrong thing. And then you have to invest so much of time into getting them trained. I think this goes back to the academics, doing some curriculum changes, understanding what is required by the industry. I think there is a big disconnect between the academic industries and the industries required per se. And secondly is the type of people which we encounter mainly at site. So they are our OEs or our customers, people who are deployed at site. I think there is definitely a need for all the big automation companies to spend a lot of money for training. The basic training, and let me quote some examples, because this comes out to be a collective waste of resources, waste of time, waste of manpower, and delays in commissioning. Simple thing, the engineers who come there they are good at their own PLCs, their own DCS. But I am talking about root basic things. For example, how do they check a loop? How is whether 485 is working or not? Can we connect these devices in the same loop or not? How do I do memory mapping? And now with Ethernet available, basic of networking is not even available. I mean, how to ping the device or how to see whether I have given right IP addresses. I am not talking about any rocket science. I am talking about basic understanding, which is absolutely not there, The corona probably taught us how to deal with issues remotely. Otherwise, the customer has no other job to do, pick up the phone. You should be here tomorrow. What? I mean, understand what is happening. I don't care. Please come here tomorrow. So, fortunately, the corona taught us that, and then we devised our own methods of, doing such jobs remotely. So I think this is one area where all the automation companies or the people who serve deploy people at site, they need to invest money into training people. Thank you.
So, Javed sir, your thoughts before we move forward.
Hello. Please.
There is the other side to it. So I have been an education chair for ISA for a long time, and I am working with the colleges since last 12 to 13 years. So the problem which you have mentioned, it is a big problem now, and I am also facing the same problem. What is their story about it? What they are saying that the normal industry which needs the skills which you have talked about just now, they are not coming us for the campus. The software companies, because each college has now around 200 to 300 students, which they want to give jobs. So they said Cognizant come to us, take 100 students, Infosys comes to us, take 50 students, Wipro comes to us, take 50 students. That's how so that's why we are lean towards these people, what are the skills they need, especially in AI and ML and what the software, we normally teach that. And the basic electronics that they only have merely one subject and they don't know. And you know the situation. So that is the problem. That there is a problem on both sides. You have said your side problem, they are talking about their side the problem. So we have to solve, we have to sit together, how do we solve this problem? That you have to think.
I'm scared that a day will come when you will have no engineers to maintain the power plants.
Right, that's the
You will
problem.
have that
And that's
situation.
a very serious problem.
So it is the academicia's responsibility that they go out. I mean, if we are not going there, they have to move out. And look, how do they train their engineers?
So it's
I
we.
have found one way in that. I have found my own way in that. What I am doing, after third year of engineering, I am recruiting them and keep them with me for entire 1 year and train them and then giving them the offer. That's what I am doing. And
So basically, that is what is to be come out from this particular session. Okay, we came out with a solution, right?
Sir, it's
and it's we how to do it. Yes, sir.
A rejoinder to what you said, sir, it's always a demand and supply situation. If there is no demand, supply will not come.
Exactly.
Tell me how many people are willing to go from the automation industry and pick up students from colleges.
I'm the live example. I'm saying there's so many of them.
Sir, one swallow doesn't make a summer, sir.
I mean, you ask anybody sitting here.
Sir, it is
How
not
many
there.
people manufacturing companies are
Sir, there was a time between 1985 and 1990, there was a core branch of engineering that was removed from colleges because there was no demand.
Sir, that is because they didn't get money.
No demand, sir.
That is what.
Today-
Till the time, sir, till the time the manufacturing industry exists, the product company exists, there will be a need for people. The quantum may vary. See, the quantum may vary.
Sir, everybody wants an experienced hand, knowledgeable hand. To invest in creating a good engineer is lacking. I face this, sir.
But
So
that's
I'm
okay.
telling you from a
See,
point.
you would have all different kinds of people, but you can't be generalizing that.
No, sir, it's a demand and supply is general, sir. You create demand, you will get supply.
No, the fundamental problem that as you rightly said, it's demand and supply, one. And the second point is, people want to go and work in Amazon. They don't want to make an Amazon. Okay? People want to work in big companies. Big companies pay high double salaries and triple salaries, which maybe Telequip or a company like me, we cannot afford those salaries what they pay. And their requirement is more. And all these newspapers, when I see someone picked up from IIT starting salary of 10 crores, 5 crores and 8 crores, these are all driving youngsters towards that, and they want quick money and quick salary. That's what youngsters are doing. I had been to a seminar where Bajaj had given a very good speech on people not coming to shop floor for mechanical scooters and manufacturing areas. He was telling nobody is willing to come to a shop floor. He said, I am struggling to get people from engineering colleges, even from mechanical swords, to come to a shop floor and start learning CNC, design, shop tools, scooters. Nobody is willing to do. Everybody wants to take a pink collar job, go and sit there and draw in dollars. That's what they want to do. That's the problem with the youngsters. That's the issue where we are struggling. Or want to, absolutely. USA जाने का.
So within the audience, I just wanted to ask if anybody has another opinion about it. Any other opinion? Yeah, speak it up.
So basically, in the morning, as Martin sir said, we have to bring more money to this industry. I think it will solve a lot. How we should figure it out together. I mean.
Yeah, that's we.
That is we.
We.
Absolutely.
Okay, it's not that. So that's the reason when you are all giving the preface, okay, it was coming just one-sided. Good, that question came in, and then we went to the other side. Yeah, you can also ask a question.
Yeah. As rightly Sakhi said, we should get more money into this industry. But apart from that one, what is more important is we should motivate these students from the first year itself. We should give them the bigger picture of the industry. Because as a HR consultant, I am also facing the same issue every time. Because what happens, the students get motivated because of their because of their some ideals and what they see in the industry. But these people don't know the bigger role which they can perform in future for such type of industries, as well as they can do excel in this industry. So there is somewhere motivation is less, and I'm sure if these students or these kids get motivated and counseled properly, definitely we will have really good students and good skill sets in our industry.
Right, good. So, yes, sir. Can you put on mic? There's one more thing before he takes up the question, is that Kapse sir would be knowing about it. Who is the head of Microsoft India today? Who is the head of Microsoft India today? Anant Maheshwari. From where did he come in? Honeywell, our industry. It's our industry. So basically we are not, see, we can move on there from this industry to other industry also. But person has to understand that this industry is also big. And that's what I think. So everybody wants to say that so that, we can have people in this industry. Yes, sir. Next question.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to add on what the lady said. I forgot her name. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. I'm coming from IIT Madras.
Okay.
Now, there was a point which was made very clearly that the students should be trained or motivated towards the industries and industrial solutions right from the first year. Yes, IIT has got a cell called C5, wherein it is voluntarily the students are involved into projects, what they want and what they like. And once you start creating a bank of students, lot of new ideas, lot of developments come into the picture. Yes, there is a tendency towards what you call software, IT,
Right,
etc.
right.
But it is necessary for every institution to think towards that and start involving students. And for that, industries also should come along and forward so that they support, because institutions are service-based institutions.
Right.
They thrive on whatever they get from the students and whatever the monies they get.
Right.
But industry should put in money, should put in efforts to be a part of the academia so that the whole thing starts flowing towards what was addressed in the morning. Let make the next gen aware of what they should be knowing and what they should be doing.
Great, great. See,
Hello.
again, I think so what Kapse sir and Uppal sir have also been talking about that, is that we need to have the academics or the colleges also to call in small organizations for placements. Okay, so that opportunity need to be given, right? Then only the things come in. Okay, because sorry to say, IIT, you're from IIT Madras, but then it only comes in the newspapers at how many what is the maximum what that offer letter a person has gotten. Okay, and because of which the students only look at it.
Finding it difficult to get jobs.
Correct.
That's because the industries are not coming forward. They think that IIT will not, students will not come. But there are students waiting for jobs there. Please come.
Great. Hello. Good. So I think so we are going something on the conclusive way. So sorry, Javed sir.
Could I give a completely different perspective? Please, you go ahead.
Just 1 minute. Okay. I strongly basically, agree with him. Whether all of you know or not, engineering courses do have 1 month per semester training, internship they call it, okay? And we find it difficult, approaching companies, giving them the internship. It is just one month internship. Exactly. Okay, so the industry connect is definitely missing, okay? We have so many chapters, student chapters, okay, and they put in requests, sir, our vacation is going to start, please provide us 1 month internship. So that connect has to be, constant. Okay, it is not a one-time sort of a thing. Every company or every organization at least need to take 4 to 5 students, okay, as an intern. Then only we will be able to establish that connect.
Right. Exactly. So I would like to take the INBAC, the owners, saying that why don't INBAC bridges a gap between the colleges as well as the the organizations and try to provide that.
Yeah.
Okay, so a tunnel, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
yes, sir.
everyone has its own part of the story. The academy has their own set of problems.
Exactly.
Bigger companies have their own set of problems. Smaller companies have their own set of problems.
Right.
Okay, and everybody, as someone said right now, need a person who is trained and who is ready to execute. Nobody wants to invest in training. So this is, although this is true, we have a small organization. Although I know we alone will not be able to make as much impact, but ourselves we have decided that we will take on new people, train them, groom them. They stay with us, fine. They don't stay with us, still fine. Okay, and that's small bit that we are trying to do here.
Great, great. I would also like to take the inputs from the end user side. So we have some end users here. Balaji sir would be representing them, but there are other people also who can put in, because they would also be starving hard for getting the right right people within their organization. Can we take on the mic at the end also? Yes, sir.
Can I say a thing just in line with what's being discussed? I used to teach at College of Engineering start of my career, and even today I am part of their board of studies for instrumentation. And we tried to design a course in building automation, and finally we ended up making that as an elective. And whenever you say automation, it is perceived to be industrial automation. Now the course there is instrumentation and control, and we are also thinking to change name of that course itself as BTech in automation, and not in instrumentation and control. My second point is that we have to give up. If there are say students who wants to do career in building automation, they have absolutely no opportunity in the college, because college does not offer anything of that sort. Coming back to my friend who was talking about internship, 1 month internship you cannot do anything.
Yeah.
We are ready to, if it is a 6 months. Yeah, but if it is around 6, we had one intern for 6 months at stretch, and that we transformed that intern to a professional building automation engineer, and he also got a good job. But 1 month is hardly kaise hai, kya hai, chai peete hai, so it doesn't go beyond that. Yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the third and the last thing, if I go to, in spite of me ex-COEP, if I go to COEP to do a campus interview, they will ask me how much is the CTC you are paying.
Yeah.
And if I say I pay 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs, they say no.
So the point taken. So point taken. I'll be just a moderator. Sorry.
I want to actually turn this subject to something else.
Yeah, that's what I said. So now, Javed ji,
Mahesh,
okay.
I want to change it.
Okay.
So basically, we have been discussing about, now we were discussing in India about the brain drain to the foreign countries, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now we are discussing the brain drain from smaller companies to the bigger companies, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which means problems are there and problems are going to remain.
Right.
Huh? So let's also talk about how we accept that this is going to be a problem. The people are going to, if I get a better job, am I not going to move? Let's be reasonable with the students. Huh? Not only that the students are to be blamed. What we probably need to do is to really create a better business model, because every time, probably everybody is not looking at money. People are also looking at good post. People are looking at encouraging work. So what USPs smaller companies or MSMEs could create, should we not, is it not high time to start thinking about that?
Yeah, Sakhi, that's what my question is. Given.
Now we come to the question, and probably we should start talking about the industry. How do we make it better? Then, I mean, we have to move from education to creating more in this industry.
All right. So, Javed sir, again, sorry.
It's been so good, the discussion. I didn't want to interrupt.
But then before the preface, my question to you would be, now we are talking about this. This is what is prevailing in India. You have a global exposure. So what happens there?
Brilliant. I'm glad you asked me that question. But before I get started, it's an honor to sit with gentlemen like yourselves. Thank you very much. So to add a little bit of credibility to that, I would like to give a quick background to myself. So I'm originally from India, a mechanical engineer. born in Mumbai, studied in Kerala, left India 22 years back, and I've been a BMS guy all my life, all right? Parts of Europe and South America. So a few years back, I took up this role with Dwyer Instruments, coming back to India. And what I thought was pretty cool. I'm going to teach my countrymen something new. And what I was amazed to find was we Indians, and we should give credibility to, we're already there, very switched on, very analytical, and the stuff that we were doing here is already, even though it's a very young industry, 5, 10 years, 17 years old, the UK industry, for instance, is 30 years old, we've already been doing the integration. So we need to give some kudos, thanks to professors like yourselves. You're doing a great job. What's interesting, however, is a lot of the pitfalls that you see in the BMS industry outside of India are now replicating in India as well. The whole question of value engineering, the whole question of performance, the whole question of standardization. Why do we have NPT and BSPT? Can we not think about bringing everything together into one platform? Now, here's where things are really exciting, where we are paving the way as Indians again. I've been in multiple conferences like this. However, those are always behind closed doors. And those are with people of the same clan. Usually OEMs cluster together or integrators come together. It's the first time I'm seeing all the stakeholders under one platform talking to each other. I mean, it's amazing kind of interaction. It's a melting pot here. I mean, in the morning, what I saw, there were hard-hitting questions. People were sweating and answering. That was great to see that. So we are paving the platform. So INBAC, great job, Saki. This is amazing, and I said I'm going to be... Now, what I think we can pave the way again is in terms of, we are here for buildings, right? Now, buildings are like human beings. No two buildings are ever the same. Even though you might have a school here and a school there, or an office block here and an office block there, the application is the same. The way it's implemented based on the consultant spec makes it different. I think this could be a great starting point for knowledge sharing, where we start, having all these performance indicators put under one roof, so the end users like yourselves and Hiran Nandani, as he had said in the morning, know what they're going to get on the return on investment. And finally, this whole topic of students, very interesting again. I think we should give some credit, I don't think the Generation Z are stupid. They are concerned about the environment more than we are, perhaps, okay? They are thinking about it. It's about how we package it and sell it. Yes, the software industry is booming. The hardware industry, electronics industry is booming. But isn't that what BMS industry is? It's a hardware solution driven by a piece of software. And we are here to change the environment and save the world. And it's how we send this message to our students, the youngsters in India, could be the key. Thank you.
Great. So let's move on to certain questions. This was a topic discussed, and then probably we have also find out certain answers and try to move ahead. So coming on to the first question, it's from our Balaji sir. Okay. So the question is EPI. EPI, I think so, is Energy Performance Index, right? I put in my Google because I'm not coming from this domain. So has found out the way in NBC. It is part of NBC, but according to him, the benchmark is very low. Okay. Now, ECBC. So with automation, EPI can be improved. Should the benchmark be changed frequently in NBC? This is what the question is, right? Yeah. So what's the opinion? Anybody who wants to take it?
I don't know if we can do it on the NBC as a routine, because the way NBC is getting upgraded is the last one was like 15 years. Yeah, so it would be more better if an organization that's a separate on it takes up that and increases the performance index, which like the NBC is a guide which can be implemented and depending on the local authority, but then that can be more updated as per the industry standards and can be more more flexible rather than inserting it into the NBC. The NBC will be the base level that needs to be achieved by, let's say, on a regulatory basis. But then performance basis should be separate.
National Building Code is, National Building Code is more of a construction and engineering document of what is required to be made for buildings of specific risks. For example, business building or this building. It doesn't largely talk about detailed specifications where it asks us to refer to respective international Indian standards, Indian Bureau of Standards, and where the performance, the specifications are mentioned for any specific requirement. I think your point is captured in ECBC, where everything related to energy is very well captured. They have excellent guidelines, and there are a few companies which I am working who want to 100% comply to ECBC, and that will definitely add a lot of value, and they have done a wonderful job. That's what I feel.
So
Can I add a comment here?
Yeah.
On the energy conservation, ECBC is the one which is defining what is the energy consumption and the EPI. And that code gets revised every 3 years. And it is already, now it's already in the revision stage now. And NBC, I'm sorry, no offense. I agree it was taking 10 years, but the latest one came in 2016. And the second revision, the latest revision is starting now. Since it is a huge document, if you really look at it, it's a huge document, and the number of chapters that got addressed and number of elements that got addressed is tremendous. And it needs, even if you go with a focused approach, it takes 2 years for us to really revise.
Absolutely.
So I think BIS is doing a wonderful job in it. And if all of us can contribute, yes, the controls is missing, controls can be brought in. Similarly, in the ECBC already addresses the controls into it. So I think it's our responsibility as industry to go back and help BIS in bringing it out, and also ESL or BE to work with that. Thank you.
Yeah. So very apt answer, Manjunath sir. It was only you who could answer this because you are coming from that domain. So any questions or any other thoughts on this? Yep.
Hello.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Audible.
Yeah. Just to give the example of NBC, and again, nothing against that. When I was handling one project with Tata's,
okay,
it was in 2004. Tata's ventured for the first time in India to bring the steel buildings.
Okay.
Instead of brick and mortar building. So right across the world, steel buildings is a norm at that time only. Yeah. We gave the application, they rejected. We gave the application of BS standard, everybody, they rejected. And now just what this 216 is answer to that, our application, only 2 pages are appended, that's all. Nothing else. Thank you.
So basically now the point comes in that, again, back to the association, INBAC, Saki, a lot of work to do. So as an association, all these points to be taken up to the right people so that, we can also put in hands together to bring in changes there. Any more questions to come in? Okay, so basically now my counter question to the other supply team, I would say that, okay. What are the changes does it bring in if there's like this kind of changes come in, okay, so frequently, because we were talking about so frequent changes coming in. How does the product development or how the product changes happens, and how do you take care of it? Does it affect that?
I think as far as the kind of products that we are into, it really wouldn't make too much of a difference, okay, because the product design per se is guided by the CE standards or EN or EMI EMC standards, and they are not actually, it's more of the total turnkey application that has to come into that. So for us, really no.
Okay.
I think a lot of it depends on the voice of the customer.
Right.
But also, as I mentioned before, only if we do have the metrics, the customer is aware of what's going on and the return on investment they're going to get, we can develop the product appropriately.
Got it.
But then again, the flip side to this is innovation. Steve Jobs used to say, the customer doesn't always know what he wants. And sometimes technology goes faster than the skill set in the market. And then skill set catches up, and then they get used to, it's like Intel, Celeron, then AM, faster and faster processor, and then we start catching up with it and start using it, and then new ideas come off. And again, it's coming back to the same point. When you have a platform like this, that's when we can talk.
Right.
You are the voice of the customer, right? I'll take this back, report back what you told me, what I've learned, and this is going to be discussed in a product management team room somewhere, which would hopefully give birth to a product which solves or at least touches on some of the problems here.
Because feedback is important for
Absolutely.
a product company. Yeah. So now moving on to the next question is from Mr. Vikas Gandhi, TechBen Systems system integration partner, right? He is the director at TechBen Systems. The question is, I think so it's pointed towards the consultant. One, BMS vendor is introduced in the project very late, okay? After all the vendors are been selected. Shouldn't BMS vendor be introduced much, much earlier? No. You will have to answer.
Hello. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's absolutely right, whatever he has asked. What normally happens is there are 2-3 problems to this. As he said, main capital items like chillers or AHUs or transformers or any capital item which takes longer delivery is on the schedule of a landlord or anybody, of course, it's basic sense, to order it first, and which are available in stock, they normally put it for last. So that's one reason for that. And what I have noticed is that, as you rightly pointed out, once all major equipments are ordered, now this BMS compatibility is a very, very complex word, okay? Interpretation, and everybody will have an individual interpretation of the word BMS compatible. Right. The landlord says, I have written in the chiller tender, yeah, my consultant has written, I want BMS compatible chiller. That's all he writes. He doesn't know what BMS compatible. What does he mean by BMS compatible? Is it serial communication? He wants potential free contacts, he wants Modbus, he wants BACnet, he is going to develop a plant manager first and then integrate the plant manager to the system, or he's going to integrate, he's not going to have a plant manager. This all story starts coming up when the BMS vendor comes on board, okay? So one is that the word BMS compatible is quite dangerous in India, and everybody interprets to their profit, okay? And tries to, yeah, he has told it is compatible, so we'll use. And all the equipment comes to the site. And then finally, the BMS guys starts to deliver. There is a problem with BMS guys as well, because the BMS vendors starts by quoting 10 crore rupees and it takes the job at 4 crores. Okay, so all landlords knows the fact that this is the industry where we can have maximum negotiation. We call everybody every 2 days and they'll go on reducing 20 lakh rupees. Okay, that is the second reason why BMS tender gets lastly finalized. And third, as he pointed out, I was coming to that. He didn't give me an opportunity for preface. If not, I would have talked on that topic. There is no standardization in BMS industry. Why IT industry has grown organically and with proper backups? Because NASSCOM was strong. They just took entire advantage of how the industry changed drastically. So there is no standardization of industry. Everybody is common for them. Every vendor is common, every controller, वो भी controller है, ये भी controller है. So they negotiate, that's one issue. And finally the BMS guy sits on site, and after the site is handed over, he is not out and he'll stay there for next 2 years asking for, मेरे को Modbus का registry दे दो, मुझे BACnet का point दे दो, मुझे control output दे दो. So that's the fundamental problem. So what I do in my job, my little work that I do, is that I tell all my clients not to float the tender unless I give you a sheet which says what BMS compatible means, and every HVAC vendor, electrical vendor, transformer vendor should sign that sheet. I'll say I want a breaker, in and off, and trip status also. 3 points. You write there that he will give me. I'll give a complete IO summary. I'll give a battery limit, what the vendor should do, who will put a weldolette on the pipe for the pressure transmitter to go in. Also, I'll write very clearly, and I'll take a sign from each and every vendor. And I'll tell them, unless this sheet is commissioned, you don't pay the last 20% to them. Great. This, somehow, I achieved 100% of BMS working clients with me, and I have 100% done. Maybe a 5-10% variation in the IO summary happens till the last, but otherwise 90 to 95% I have achieved the system works in that way.
And I think so by doing this, again, the end user is also using the system.
Absolutely, absolutely. The intention is to save energy. The intention is to reduce manpower. The intention is to give you wellness, not only manpower. Wells standard says something different. The leads may be focusing on energy saving, but that's not the only point. The point is you also need to ensure your people are well there. You need not always reduce the fresh air. You can increase the fresh air as per Wells. So your objective should be clear. And then you work around that objective. That's what I feel.
Can I quickly add to these couple of points here? This pressure on BMS industry is not just an India problem, it is a global problem. Most building projects globally are delayed, as in India sometimes, because only after the building comes up does the air handling, the capital, boilers, chillers come in. Only when the pipes are put in place would you put the sensors and then the BMS. So I don't really have a solution for this except to request you to place the order quicker, number one. Secondly, what I want to say is what you mentioned about standardization, that is a very cool point, because if you're not standardizing, you are sometimes wasting time. I mean, the number of times I've seen on a site, as I mentioned before, NPT or BSPT, oh, the threads are different, it's going to leak. The valve connections are different, or BACnet and Modbus. Or take another example, pharmaceutical BMS, what we call an EMS. Do we go with the European ATEX or do we go with the international IECEX? Why don't we as Indians standardize on PESO? That's our standard. Let's pave the way and say, look at us, follow us.
Yeah, the biggest problem in India is every individual is very intelligent. Pick up from NASA, Intel, everyone is Indian, but collectively we are fools.
Can I just add something to that, please? And I say this as a British citizen, but with an Indian heart. But hey, my Prime Minister is Indian too.
So Rupeji, yeah.
So the question was, why the BMS vendor is introduced late. So my question is, why do you want to be, with the developer for 8 years, 9 years? Okay, it is better you spend only 2 years on that project, right? So we as a consultant, Kapsi sir knows, we are there for some project, even 10 years. Okay. So please be aware of some practicalities, right? Okay, and we have been working on some projects where there's no clarity whether it is going to be a single use or multi-tenant or whatever it is. You want to be part of that discussion and part of the problems, please, you're welcome, right, Kapsi sir?
Of course.
So let's take this one idea from the end user side as well. Yeah.
True. No, I mean, definitely not 10 years, but, a little, if the BMS vendor is introduced somewhere after chiller is finalized, because that's a capital equipment fine, but, before the rest of the systems are finalized, or around the same time if that can be done, because this compatibility issues can be really addressed if he's on board in time.
Right.
If he's introduced late, whatever is defined in the BMS and what is defined in the vendor scope, they normally don't match. We have not come across a single project until now where it matches 100%.
You have not worked with my project.
That is true, and would look forward to it.
So it's not only discussion, I think so sales is also going on. Good. Any end user, Makranji from Panchil, what is your thought on this? Can you just pass on the mic? So what is your thought on this BMS getting pushed in late towards the end of the project?
Basically, all the consultants should be in on one single table. Hello?
Yeah.
Basically, all the consultants are never on single table. That's the main problem.
Okay.
HVAC is somewhere else. IBMS is where. They never come on one single table. That's the main problem.
So how do you address this? Now, this is something what the end user is saying. Yeah.
Just to add to this gentleman's problem, even I go back to my old Tata days, tender used to get floated, agreement of understanding used to happen. There, to my knowledge, Section A, general agreement terms, Section B, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, civil engineering, roads, bridges, वगैरह 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 वगैरह, all that. No mention of BMS.
Oh.
Nothing. Okay. The process automation, yes, in detail, but no mention of this. Only mention was automated fire hydrant system. That's all.
Thank you.
So what is your thought on this now?
Yeah, like Mr. Kapse said, the only answer to it is standardization. Standardization from both the specifications as well as from the end user side. I'll put out a thought, if I can say, is that let's say point list or something. You can have a specific set of points which are a basic mandatory, like if it's a pump, I have X number of items coming in, which is very clear to the vendor, very clear to the consultant and to the client. That is the kind of standardization you will have to have. Of course, you may have some variations happening, but as a core requirement for, we know what are the devices that's going to come in. It's going to be pumps, motors, drives, and things like those. Air handling units and chillers. So these things are, you can have standardized set of input-output parameters which will be taken out to the BMS. If the client wants something more, yes, let the consultant know it and put it into the tender. But when we say BMS, at least everybody is aware of the fact that these are the few things that is required. The reason I say is that when you work, we do some international work also. In some of these places, it's very much standardized to the fact that you can replace it and it will still work. So the amount of standardization will be required at least to the basic level.
You know,
it may
I
not
quite,
be 100%. It can
I
be.
quite like the idea of what you said there, because if you standardize on the 80%, then you're going to be quicker and more efficient. But leave that 20% alone, because that 20% is where the innovation happens. And that's when you get that guy to say, how can I do this slightly differently to give my customer back more? So, good point.
Normally these individual systems, what happens is that the independent vendors for HVAC or electrical or PHE or firefighting, they are more focused in getting their system first commissioned, billing and taking their money. They are not really focused on getting the BMS integration is their last job. Maybe one person in their company knows how to get it integrated. That is one major issue. And second is that customers should emphasize on integrated testing, IST testing. So any system, chiller system or HVAC system or VAV system, you need to test it once it is fully integrated and your entire data is responding on BMS. If you insist for integrated testing and put your foot down that unless an integrated testing is done, we are not going to certify any of the bills or hold on some money on that. So that helps us in a very big way where you can insist. That is one part that I can say.
Yeah. A question from you. Yeah.
See, we have worked on.
Mike.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it is okay now.
Yeah.
We have worked on some projects wherein we, as an integrator, we were brought in last and we faced all these problems. Now we are working on a project where we are part of the, it's a design build project and we are part of the design as well. Meaning, as everybody in the chain is, designing the electrical systems, the HVAC systems, firefighting and everything, we are also part of the same team designing the BMS system. And that is where, we are adding value. At the same time, we also, are learning a lot of things and we are suggesting. And as Kapse sir just told, end of the day, we are it was like in this project, it is our responsibility to get data, to get assurance from all the stakeholders, all the different package units about the connectivity and the compatibility with the BMS. It is our responsibility. But at the end of the day, these